Hollywood is preparing for a trial as they grieve the loss of one of their most favorite directors and actors of all time. But what if some of your favorite celebrities actually had a part in what happened? And what if that's on the way in the trial? Hey, we'll talk about the messy new details that could shake the foundations of Tinseltown. The Bombshell Report released on Friday, December 19th. A source familiar with what went down at the A-List Bash claimed Conan refused to let anyone contact law enforcement following the conflict with Rob and Nick. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are unafraid to go where we need to go to uncover what's really going down in entertainment and in Hollywood. Folks, as we get ready to dive in today, click the like button. We'll get underway. And if you see the hype, the time is ripe to hit that hype. All right, here we go. We're on boardpanda.com. Yes, we're going to be talking about the Rob Reiner situation, and this is going to get ugly. Now, I have said in the past that we're not going to do videos on this unless it became something bigger and broader that necessitated that. But given what this is, which is a family tragedy, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to weigh in on it. I just want to leave everybody be as best I can. Unfortunately now, the news is getting much bigger about this, and other celebrities may have to be held to account. We'll see how that goes. I'll explain why in just a second. And frankly, you might not believe it. It's so disturbing. I struggle with how this has happened. Marina Ehrman. This is the quote, petrified, out of Board Panda. Petrified, celebrity at Rob Reiner Memorial reveals what he told party guests hours before the deletion, okay, of the two parents, Rob Reiner and his wife. Now, what party are we at? Folks, we're at Conan O'Brien's party, okay? We're at Conan O'Brien's birthday party. We're going to talk about it in just a second. And I have heard many people over the years tell me that Conan O'Brien is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. He takes care of everybody. I'm not going to be throwing shade at Conan. I'm not going to be throwing shade at the other celebrities. But, maybe they need to lawyer up. I'll explain why. And it's very sad. Honestly, it is sad. And what I would say for all of us to do is to pray for some of these guys and gals. This is awful, and maybe some bad decisions also were awful. And maybe people just weren't, maybe people didn't know how to handle this. It says the case was investigated as a double deletion. Couple's middle child, 32-year-old Nick, was arrested hours after his parents were found slain. You know the details. It's awful. I mean, it really is. And I take no joy in covering it at all. I didn't want to cover it. But here we are. And you're here because you want to know about it. I'm going to give you what you need to know about it in terms of the celebrities. On Monday, one of the stars who attended the memorial service revealed the final words the director told guests at Conan O'Brien's party. According to the Daily Mail, the final quote was, "I'm petrified of Nick. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm afraid of my son. I think my own son can hurt me." All right, let's go to Hollywood reporter Seth Abramovich. Conan O'Brien threw a holiday party to forget a bad year. Then Nick Reiner arrived. I'm going to give you the details and tell you who was here at this thing, at the party they had. But, you got Bill Hader. You got reports about just, it's a lot of celebrities. It's a lot of people, A-listers, right? It says it was meant to be an evening of good cheer. A group of powerful Hollywood creatives and executives gathered on Saturday night for a holiday party at the home of Conan O'Brien. The estate is nestled in the section of the Pacific Palisades, spared by the fires that decimated the affluent neighborhood almost a year ago. O'Brien had to evacuate during that terrifying time. But as the night progressed, a different kind of dark energy filled the room. An erratic male figure wandered around the party and interrupted conversations, demanding to know who attendees were and if they were famous. Many, like Jane Fonda and Bill Hader, in fact, were. It goes on to talk about how this, this son, this deranged individual, to do what he did, you're just evil and deranged. That his behavior was disturbing to everybody. So the story, though, here is intended to paint a positive light to you about Conan and the celebrities. They're just victims of this. They're just victims. They didn't invite him. He just showed up. And he caused a ruckus, and he yelled and he screamed at his dad, and people, it was terrifying. They were terrified. They were terrified. That's the story you're supposed to hear. Oh, gosh, the celebrities were terrified of this. How could this be? This evil monster came to their party. And then we go to OK Magazine. Conan O'Brien accused of refusing to let guests call police after Rob Reiner's bad fight with son Nick at Christmas party. Now, was I there? No. Do I know for certain that this is true? No. I can tell it's being reported in a lot of places. And I hope that Conan has a great attorney, and I hope he didn't do it. I hope he didn't say that. But I've got questions about some of this stuff. We'll talk about it in just a minute. We'll go over why this could turn into a trial that shakes Hollywood to its core. From OK Magazine, could the deletions have been prevented? Guests at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party allegedly wanted to call 911 after witnessing an explosive argument between Rob and Nick hours before the director was deleted. But the comedian, Conan, reportedly wasn't having it. In a bombshell report released on Friday, December 19th, a source familiar, and by the way, this is why we're covering this now. You wonder, Pro, why are you going back on your word? Why are you covering this? Is it to get clicks? No, friends, it's not to get clicks. It's because Friday, we had news that came out of this. And it actually impacts what could happen with Hollywood and celebrities, and we got to cover it. The bombshell report released on Friday, December 19th, a source familiar with what went down at the A-list bash claimed Conan refused to let anyone contact law enforcement following the conflict with Rob and Nick. And apparently the conflict was about a psychiatric hold. Here's the quote. They got in an argument, the father and the son. It got so bad and loud, someone wanted to call the police. But, and this is reported in the Daily Mail, but Conan stepped in and said, it's my house, my party. I'm not calling the police. He talked them out of calling the police. This is why we have to talk about it now. Conan O'Brien, who is someone that I've heard is extremely kind to everybody. Conan O'Brien may have made a horrible decision. But beyond that, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand what's going to happen in this trial, or what could happen. What might happen is you might hear the defense say, why didn't somebody stop this? They saw this spiraling. Why didn't they stop it? And the answer may be Conan stopped it. And the answer may be the other celebrities, quote unquote, were talked out of it. But guess what, folks? If you're a celebrity, or if you're somebody attending the party, you got a phone. You don't have to listen to what somebody tells you. If you see something, and what did we get from the quote? Rob saying, I'm afraid my son may harm me. It's a hard position for people to be put in, right? It's a hard position. And if you and your family and your friends, if you know people who can enter into these altered states, let's say, because we're going to play kind with the wording on YouTube. If you know people who can enter into these altered states, whether it's due to neurodivergence or whether it's because of substances, you know that logic doesn't work, and you know it's a very difficult and painful place to be in to decide when it is time to call in for authorities, for officials, when it's time to, hand a person over to get more, what shall we say, less voluntary assistance. You know that's a hard decision. One thing we can say for certain is this is something that's been going on for a long time. This is something that people knew there was an unwellness. And folks, I'm not here to add more pain to those who are suffering. I don't want to do that at all. And I'm not here to condemn anyone at the party. I'm here to let you know that mistakes seem to, at this point, have been made. Not sure exactly who made the mistakes, but if you're wondering, why is Hollywood reacting to this situation the way that it is? Why are they reacting this way? It's because it now seems very likely that some of these individuals are going to be speaking at the trial. Some of the biggest names in Hollywood are going to be called in to say, why didn't you call 911? You saw this hours before. Why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you do the right thing? What a horrible situation, right? According to People.com, Rob Reiner's son Nick was entitled and wanted to live a life that didn't exist. He basically just says he's a horrible person for years and years. Folks, go read the article. I think if you want to know what's happened here, Benjamin Van Hoos is the author of it. Go read it if you want to and find out how all this went down. And bottom line is, what you need to know is everybody knew this guy was crazy, is crazy. Everybody knew it. Nobody stepped in. And the bad news about it is, too, and I'll go down to the final quote here, if we go all the way to the bottom of the article. Hang with me. Go down here. It says, Rob and Michelle's other two children, son Jake, 34, and daughter Romy, 28, spoke out about the devastating loss of the parents in a statement. Quote, words cannot begin to describe the unimaginable pain we are experiencing every moment of the day. They weren't just our parents, they were our best friends. In a Build series interview alongside Nick in 2015, Rob explained, back in 2015, regarding his son, quote, the idea of tough love and you have to be in a certain way, it's not my nature. It's not the way I am built. That, as it turns out, carried out over a long period of time, not just in the family, but also perhaps from the celebrities. Unbridled empathy sometimes goes awry. And that may be what we see on trial very soon. In a Hollywood that is very focused on being coarse and pretending and supposing that they have a moral superiority to everybody else, a Hollywood that tells you what you should be like and what kind of virtues you should hold and what you should believe, and they get on to you if you dare stray from their own orthodoxy. Turns out they've got problems too. And it turns out, in this case, those problems went catastrophic. And that's going to be on trial. Who is going to be in this? Who is going to be involved? Who is going to be named in this, folks? That's where it gets bad. There's some articles out there in places like Bored Panda that are covering exactly who all was there, and it's a lot of big names. Again, I don't want to throw people under the bus just because they were at a party. A lot of big names at this. Who all saw it? What celebrities are going to be dragged into the trial? Who's going to have to testify? Who's going to receive an affidavit? It's going to be a request for an affidavit. Excuse me. This is going to be a big deal in Hollywood. And unfortunately here, this is something that's a debate that's raging across the country that we're going to have to handle. And that is, at what point do you stop defending the tribe and the appearance of being perfect and do the right thing? That's a conversation happening on the left and the right. Here on this channel, I'll tell you what we believe in. We believe in the sensible center, the mainstream middle. You know, that's what we believe in. We've said it for a long time. We believe in telling the truth with a capital T. And I feel badly for all these people. I feel badly for them because they're put in a position, A, where they're supposed to be the moral superiors of the world, and B, they're put in a position where they probably should call the police, and they didn't. And maybe 99 out of 100 times that goes okay. But this wasn't the 99. This was the 1 out of 100, where when the father says, I'm petrified of my own son, he said, don't call the police, don't bring him to my house. This is the 1 out of 100 where it really went catastrophically bad. And what do we take away from this, folks? I would say to you, as we get ready, don't gloat over this. There's too much of that in the world right now. There's too much of it. Don't gloat over the pain and suffering of others. Don't do it. It goes against, I think, the better part of us. And there's plenty of that already in the world. Try something else for a change. Let's all try something different. And that is, let's be kind and resolute in this moment. Kind to say, boy, they messed up. Boy, they messed up. This is a bad mistake. And resolute to say, I'm going to learn from this. And in my life, if I see something where it pings my radar, and folks, this is why if you came to this video and you're still with us, this is what I want you to know. If something pings your radar enough that legitimately you say, that's not good, take the right steps. Bring in the experts to resolve the situation if it reaches that level. Don't let pathology continue to fester on, because if you do, tragedy can happen, and you don't want that on you. And everybody who saw this and witnessed this and didn't do something is going to have to live with this. I'll leave you this final thought, folks, as we, and again, I hate this. I hate this for everybody involved in the situation. I don't know if there's any legal problems coming. I don't know. But I'll leave you with this. One of the things you might consider doing in your life is to take the position, and not in a self-righteous way, but internally to say, when there's a tough decision to be made, when the pressure is on to not do the right thing, and when it's obvious what the right thing is, and maybe that was the case in this party, when I know what the right thing is, I'm going to be the kind of person that people can count on to do that right thing. And if you do that, well, you just might be the kind of responsible person that people seek out and search out to be a leader. And we need leaders today in this world, in entertainment, in politics, and everywhere else. We need people who rise above the coarseness of it all and set the course for those who would like to seek a higher calling to bring this world into a better place. Folks, that's where we'll let it rest today. Can you tell that I don't like covering this? I hope it comes through. It's genuine. I really don't, because it involves such suffering and such, pain, and it's so fresh. I don't want to glamorize or sensationalize, but I do need you to know that we're covering it because it is important and because it will have a massive effect on entertainment potentially in the next year. All right, like, share, subscribe, drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And until the next time we have the pleasure, the privilege, and the responsibility of spending time together, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.